Scott, we're jumping into some of our favorite stuff, buddy. Stealth and VR.
And we're it.
Scott, you and I put on the Oculus headset because we checked out Covert. This is a stealth puzzle game. What'd you think of this one?
This one's really cool. I like how this is a co-op, kind of asymmetrical VR, well, co-op game. I've seen other ones kind of similar like this. Somebody's on the mobile, somebody's on the headset, but it was a competitive one. So I like the idea that I can work with somebody now.
That is honestly one of the best parts about the game, but also one of the worst parts about the game, because if you don't have your co-op partner with you to help you out on the phone, you can't really play the game without it.
Yeah, that is it. You're just left out of luck.
So, okay, let's get into the game. Basically what's going on is you are a hired thief, you and your partner, to go out and do these heists and kind of break someone free a little higher up within the organization. And you're trying to work together and solve all these puzzles and sneak your way through. Dude, some of the environments in this game were awesome. Like starting out in that museum, and then there's just a jailbreak. There's like all kinds of crazy cool stuff, and you're like missile launching and things. Dude, I had a blast.
Yeah, you have a ton of these different gadgets, so you can kind of zipline yourself around or highlight things for the your hacker to control and kind of set up for you. And you work your way through these rooms, and I really like how when you meet the secret society kind of thing, they allude to the fact that they've been around forever, and they kind of there's like lots of history, little threads weaved through there. I like this, how the game tells the story. Even in the kind of hub thing that you return to, that little shop. I like the character there.
She's cool.
Yeah, she's really cool, and I like how it's just a quick loading kind of game. It doesn't seem to be too kind of heavy on my system.
No, not at all.
I didn't have too much problem with the mobile either. So the mobile aspect of it, I've kind of come to expect there'll be some kinks with that.
Yeah.
But I only found one. I found one kink.
All right, what do you got?
Well, in one level, I was trying to move a block through into the next room to block off some lasers, but it just did not accept on the mobile that the door was open. Even though I could see it in virtual reality, I'm standing right there, I can walk through it.
Really, eh?
But yeah, I had that one, and looking at this game, I've heard similar things, sort of. There's some kind of bugs that pop up. You just have to restart your level, and it'll work itself out.
I never experienced that issue. The biggest issue I had is you have to sync with your co-op partner the press of a button. So you have to time yourself. So you'll have these detonation things you gotta kind of sync up for one particular mission that we're working on. And you have to push a button, but so does your co-op partner at the same time. And as Crystal's hitting the button, I'm hitting the button. And then, okay, here's the other part that I found was kind of a little off for me. In order to hit the button, in most VR games, it's the head of a button, so you reach out and you push the button,
You just push it with your hand,
Here, we actually have to pull the triggers, and then it activates, and then sends your hand out, and then pushes on the button. So between her hammering on the phone, and then me pushing, like clicking my button, then the hand will come out, like the timing was just off.
So it'd be a little bit.
Clink, miss, clink, miss, clink, miss, ding! I was just like, really? Okay, that part, like, I want to be able to push the button. I'm in VR. The whole idea of being in VR is that you're way more immersed typically than you would in a normal game. So the ability it's just common sense that relays to yourself, oh, button, push it. Like, you don't reach out
and I tried to do that many times. That's of course we first try that. VR has been around for a while, and these are the things we kind of expect with
I was used to that, right?
Yeah, it was a disconnect to kind of just run a procedure. It was like an animation start. So trigger. I don't really like that.
Every button is the same way. That it's all like an activation. It's almost like if you're holding a controller and then you hit the X button or the A button, depending on whatever system you're on, right? And then that would go and kind of relay the information that you've hit the trigger. Now in VR, it enables us to go and just reach out your hand and push that button. So I was kind of anticipating that. So when I stood there for 5 minutes going, like, why isn't it?
How?
And then because you'd be up against it, it would push me back. And I was like,
I did have that.
I don't get what's going on. Why? I'm just trying to reach the button. And then I clicked I'm like, oh, man.
Okay. Yeah,
really?
they might have done a little bit better at telling us how to interact with some of the items.
Yeah, that was the biggest part.
A lot of the time it ends up being right trigger, and it's just a kind of aim thing. But I don't think it told us that very well.
No, it didn't. But honestly, that was the biggest takeaway from this game that was really effective that I didn't like. But the rest of the game, like from the character, the the art style, the heists we're pulling off, and the gadgets and everything else. I had a great time playing this game.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool. And my biggest thing when it comes to playing VR is how do we move within the game? And the minute I saw we were actually walking, I went, oh.
Yeah, it's a little.
But it was slow enough that I didn't get that motion sickness that I would normally get. Because a lot of games, you're kind of like barreling through, and then they tunnel your vision. In here, because you're so almost like sluggish in a sense, but I appreciate that because you are being stealthy and you're sneaking. But sometimes I'm sneaking up behind guards and trying to creep around them. And at the same time, I'm
you
going,
have to try and limit your
I'm really
sound.
slow. So maybe I'm gonna get caught here, but maybe I won't. And then you're zip lining from one place to another. The zip line can be a little.
They kind of shrink the thing there. Yeah,
can.
but it can get you in the motion.
If you're a little sensitive to that stuff, be a little wary of that. But besides that, actually moving throughout the game I thought was fantastic. I didn't get sick whatsoever, and I was in there. First time I put it on, man, I was there for hours. I had a great time. Scott, one of the coolest aspects of the game as well is the artwork. I'm always kind of drawn into this Pixar, Fortnite kind of feel. And that's kind of where they really took this game, I thought.
Yeah, it didn't bother me though. The fact that it's in VR but still cartoony, I'm okay with that, especially in some. I've seen it work out really well.
Yep.
And this was one of those.
Absolutely. And this is some of the team too behind the God of War series. So they know video games, man. And when we jumped in, I thought it was smooth, it was fluid, and everything just worked the way I wanted it to, except for the fact I couldn't push my button.
Yeah, just a little bit of a disconnect.
That was it.
Hey, can we close the doors? When after we start the launch sequence? Francis?
All in all, Scott, you and I had a great time. What are you scoring Covert?
Well, I had a pretty good time, like you said, except that, it caused a couple little arguments here and there. That's what happens when you have to play a co-op game. But
sometimes.
It's not too bad. I had a really good time with this, and I would like to see sequels. I want to see more of this kind of game. I want to see people do this kind of peripheral thing on the side. I think that's great. So I'm going to give this one an 8.5. I'm really impressed with this one.
Yeah, you know what? I'm right there with you. I thought this was awesome. Co-op experience worked really well for me. 8.5 as well. A stealth VR title is just what we wanted, and with great co-op. We just wish we could push that button ourselves.
No, get out of there.
If you like this video and you want to see more like it, check out the channel and give us a subscribe.